so your voice is projecting into those mics. That would be great.
All right. Put my head down like this to talk.
Okay, just under a minute. Okay, here we go. 10 seconds. And you're live.
Okay, well, good morning, good afternoon, whatever. My name is Ann Ulrich Miller, and I'm from Earthstar Publications. And I put out the Star Beacon newsletter, which has been in print for 17 years. And before I introduce Sanni, a very special being, I'd like to give a little bit of background. It was sometime in 1999 when this woman started writing to me from out east. And she told me she was an extraterrestrial, and she would write in symbols, hieroglyphs. And her English sort of needed to be translated because she wrote phonetically. And it was so interesting, I kept writing to her, and she seemed to be a very loving being, and she told me that she would like to come out to Colorado and visit sometime, that John Denver was her favorite singer, and she just wanted to come out to Colorado so badly. So finally, in the summer of 2000, we had a way to bring her out by Greyhound bus, and she spent 11 days at our home outside Paonia, and she just blossomed. She opened up into this being that we didn't even know existed. It was really terrific. So when it was time to leave after her visit, she told us that she wanted to move to Colorado. And it was like, oh yeah, well, maybe next year. Well, things worked out so fast that within 2 weeks, we had found a house for her to rent, and everything just kind of moved and flowed. It was time for her to join us, and she did. 2 of the men in our group drove out with a trailer and moved her to Paonia. And the rest she's going to tell you about, but most of it is in this book that she's just written and has just been released. It's called Stranded on Earth, the story of a Roswell crash survivor. And she's going to tell you what that's all about. So I'd like to introduce Sanni Ceto.
Greetings, Otenya Loeha, Yomotai Shewaya Loahela. Love and light and peace unite you with all of one of Yahweh. My name is Sanni. My experiences first started when I was about 4 years old in your time when lightning hit our front porch. I was sitting here lying on the floor watching the television, and over to there was how close the lightning hit the front porch, and it broke it and left a great big long crack. The minute that lightning hit the porch, I had these movies, or I call them flashbacks, in my mind of me piloting an advanced aerial vehicle that your technology did not have at that time. It was a delta-winged craft. There was me and 4 others. We were dressed in tight fitting flight suits. In the flashbacks, I was going down over the mountainside. It was a dark cycle, which you call night. Lightning was so horrible. We were going down. My duties was to maintain force field operations around the craft, meaning you have a console that comes out similar to your laptops, but it's this thick. You didn't have that. Back then, your computers took up big buildings, and you used vacuum tube technology. Your computer was primitive, but this came out of the wall, and there was a panel that had templates. You put your hands just above the templates, and you was able to interact with controlling the ship mentally by putting your hands there because it connected to the neurons in the brain to operate you to interface between mind and machine. I took my head away just for a brief minute to look at Nelu, my crew member. And the minute I took my eyes away from my console, there was a breach in the force field. There was two ships. Mine was here. First ship was here. It was a saucer, about 90 feet in diameter. It went down first in a desert area, left a long trench, went down near Socorro of your land, New Mexico. Mine traveled onwards. We shared the force field. When the breach occurred, the force field split. That conducted electricity into the hulls of both ships, and they lost their instrumentation. Brother's ship went down first. His name was Jerada, but you call him J-Rod. He went down with 12 scientists. Mine went on till we hit the side of a mountain, because in every flashback I've had, I was always hitting the upper side of a mountain. We tore out a great big swatch of tree growth, split a great big boulder in several pieces, even left black residue from the ship when she impacted and split that boulder. I was ejected from the ship. I survived one of your months in your time. I've had the flashbacks ever since I was 4. They've continued to this day. I was taken to doctors and people like that because when I first learned to write, I couldn't write in English. I only wrote in hieroglyphs because your language made no sense. I could not understand it. When I was young, I did not learn to tell time on your devices because my people do not know what you call time. But time is a man-made thing to control nature and the world around him.
Move over about 2 feet away from that pole. No, the other one. Right here. Sorry. Just move this.
Anyway, I did not learn to tell time till I was 12 or 13 in your time measure, and therefore I was labeled as mentally retarded and schizophrenic because I could see things that humans could not see. Like I've had UFO contact ever since I was very little with who I call my dad's people, which are the Greys. I can remember a very vivid flashback laying in a crib, and this little man comes into the room, and my biological parents are on the bed, and I have Native American in me. I should have black hair, should have dark skin, but I'm like an albino. I have no skin pigment. Been this way all my life. But this little man comes into the room, and he walks over to the crib, and it's like I know him from somewhere. We talk by automatic telepathy. He says, "Child, that man on the bed is not your father." And when he said that, I remembered him from many past lives. He was my guide in those past lives. His name is Kinyo, which means strong one in Veti, Kinyo. And it's like I knew him. I said, "Dad." He says, "Child, you will learn when you get older why you had to come back." When I got older, my grandmother, who was Native American, I used to get to visit her occasionally if I was good. That means can't do nothing bad for a whole month. You must be on perfect behavior to get to go visit your grandmother in North Carolina or so ever. And I remember when I would visit my grandmother, she'd sit me on her lap and she had a big scrapbook she made. She'd open it up and it had pictures of UFOs and people. She said, "You, child, are of the people that fly the silver canoes in the sky. The sky is like an ocean, and the silver canoes is how you got here." And I didn't understand what a silver flying canoe was till I got older. And it was their term for a UFO ship or a disc ship. And I said, "Why am I special, grandmother?" And she says, "Because you are a hybrid. And I have known your dad ever since I was a little child. And my grandmother knew your father, Kenyo, since she was a little child. So it runs in generations when you're an abductee or a contactee." And when I got older, I learned that the reason I had to come here, come to Colorado that is my council said you have to return to the location. You caused a terrible, terrible accident that killed many innocent scientists. And in this present life, I have lived in approximately 12 group homes, 12 foster homes, went through a rape at gunpoint in 77-year time, been labeled everything under the sun because the doctors could not accept a person that's of extraterrestrial origin. I've been through interrogations once or so often a year. The social workers would take me to this big airport. Like I would go to this big airport. Underground, it was a hospital. I'd go there and have every known test you could have done to you. I was tested on everything. The upper part looks like a airport with jets and planes and helicopters. Normal hospitals don't have airports on the top with security gates and people in blue uniforms. And all my life, and I stayed with the Rileys ever since I was little till I turned an adult. These social workers would come and visit me. Now, normal social workers wouldn't dress the way these dressed. It was usually two men or a woman, or two women and a man, or what have you. They wore suits that were like a navy blue colored jacket and a skirt. The woman wore hose and matching shoes and a little cap that matched her jacket. And she wore a light blue blouse with a little blue bow tie that matched the jacket. And the men wore the same color outfits as the women. And they'd come every month and ask Mr. and Mrs. Riley, "Well, how is it doing? Is it able to eat?" And they gave me a designation number. They never called me by my name. It was EB7 something or EB847 something was my designation number. And I would have to go with them to the facility at least twice a year. Sometimes I would go longer, and it would be in a facility out in your western USA, which was in the side of a mountain, and I would be tested on everything. And when I grew up, I always thought, well, I wonder if normal kids go through this, go to airport facilities to have all these samples taken and asked about outer space and how ships fly and stuff. And when you're labeled retarded, well, a retarded person wouldn't have the intelligence or the ability to even draw a spacecraft or tell you how the propulsion units work or what stars are binary and all that stuff and how many different species and the conditions for life on other worlds. The government labeled me as such so that if I ever gave a talk, that my credibility would be ruined. This has ruined my life, being that I am a hybrid. I have never, ever considered myself as being of your earth or of the human people. A lot of people, when they see UFOs, they get scared. When they see grays in the room, they get scared. When I see grays in my room, I reach out in love because I know it's my dad's people, and they send me nothing but pure, unconditional love. But when humans come up to me, it's like inside I freak out and I have panic attacks. I get scared when I'm around humans because I'm not wired to the humans. I am wired of the Zeti consciousness, which is the universal one mind of the hive. Long as I'm linked to that hive of my people and my council, I can function on your earth. When I'm cut from my hive, I am lost. On our home, we don't have individual freedoms to come and go when you want to dress how you want to think how you want to. We are social insectoids, like your ants, your bees, your wasps, but we are also related to the mantis people, who are our teachers and our leaders. Every day, my people have to keep in daily contact with me just so I can interact among humans. Like my dad will come to me by telepathy and he will say, "You are to meet this person." I would normally could not walk up to someone I don't know and say hi, because inside I would be freaking out. I would be so scared as to what others would think. I am extremely sensitive. I don't have the emotional body like the humans have, because at the time of my crash, we had no emotions. We were scientists, just sent here to observe why you were setting off nuclear weapons at Alamogordo and White Sands. That's what drew us here. We had no need for emotions then when I was a commander and pilot. But when I incarnated into this form, I use the word incarnation because to me, it's more fitting than born. Because when you I feel the word born has pain involved, an element of pain and suffering and unpleasantness. So I incarnated. I was the product of my Earth mother's abduction by a landed UFO on a dirt road. I can remember being in a glass cylinder that was about up to here, with this big around, filled with an amber liquid, inside a room that had millions of other cylinders with fetuses in them, hybrid fetuses. I can remember that. People say, well, little babies don't have memories. Well, they do have memories. You have memories before you're even conceived to become a human or whatever being. You have your ancestral memories of your species encoded in you when you were just a ball of intelligent energy. And when you take a body or incarnate, that memory comes with you. Some people choose to block their memories so they can live on the earth level. My memories weren't blocked, and it got me into a lot of trouble with the doctors labeling me as such. Because I've had tests run on me, I'm not schizophrenic, I'm not mentally ill or delusional. I'm just an extraterrestrial sent here to learn about your culture and your people. It is so hard to live on your planet with all the hate and negativity and the war. Your people, as a global family, must all come together. Put away your wars. Put away your pettiness. Put away hunger. You must learn to end all of that if you're ever going to have open contact. That's one of the stipulations. Earth's people, instead of reaching out with fear to the unknown and fear of their fellow nations, should reach out and say, I offer my hand to help you. I give you my love to help heal your earth. I am your brothers and your sisters. We are a one family. We are united as one. And the people of earth must work together as a family to save your resources, to stop all wars, to end hunger, to end prejudice, because those are cancers that plague your world. And I was sent here as an ambassador from the Zeti Reticuli people, as a hybrid, and they made me pass. What I mean by passing is a species that is far more evolved than your planet. If they want to monitor planet A, they will put one of their people on planet A, disguised as one of your people, so they can do their scientific mission unhindered. Because if I was to be put here in my true form as a gray, I'd be in that laboratory again and be tortured and killed. I was sent as an emissary, as a bridge between two universes and galaxies, as an ambassador of peace. I came as a teacher to help clear up misunderstandings, that it is really the reptoids that shapeshift into gray form to abduct humans against their will and do experiments on them so that the humans will hate my species, when in reality the reptoids hate my species and want the humans to hate us as well. The reptoids are shapeshifters. They assume human form on your planet. They are in all your governments, all over your earth. They want my race to be extinct. In fact, a while back, my dad said that if cover-up is ever ended on your earth, the reptoids would go back to the reticuli, which is 37 or 39 of your light years away, and destroy every inhabited gray home world. Then they would come back to your solar system in Earth and wipe out all the humans that were involved with working with us, and they would destroy your government, because the reptoids don't want the cover-up lifted. The reptoids use mind control and psychotronics. They use chemtrails. Reptoids are involved in everything negative on your Earth because they don't want the truth to come out about why the Greys are here. Well, I was sent here to educate about my people and what my people are really like, that it is reptoids that shapeshift into our form and commit these atrocities upon innocent humans. I am a being of love. I am a being of love. I thrive on love. And people have criticized me at times because I love to give hugs so much. And I thought, what is so wrong with your planet that you've shut off your ability to love and give hugs? That is a sign.
This is just sorry. Thank you.
That is a sign that your planet is in trouble when you shut off your ability to love one another. That is a sad, sad sign that your world is lacking in love. I've always been an affectionate, loving creature. My dad said your mission will be very hard where you're on the earth observing the earth people. I don't like being a hybrid. I've asked my dad several times, Dad, why am I connected to UFOs? He said, child, it's because of your heritage. You are entwined in UFOs because you were created aboard a UFO. That is your blood, your DNA. If you was to leave UFOs and us for a month, you would die. Well, one time I got into it with my father, Kino, and he left me. He left. I had no sightings, no contact, no channeling, nothing for a whole month. Towards the end of that month, I started getting very gravely ill. I ended up in the emergency room of a human hospital, and I almost died. And it was at that time that I begged my father, Kino, please come back. I will never, never, never be skeptical about my people or about UFOs again, because I know you are real. And when I was in those facilities, they gave me psychotropic drugs because they said I was paranoid schizophrenic. Well, if you have a chemical imbalance in the brain, the drugs are supposed to alleviate the symptoms of like hallucinations and audio and visual hallucinations. Well, the chemicals they gave me did not alleviate the symptoms. And that proved to me that my dad and UFOs are real physical objects. It's just that they have to raise and lower the vibrational frequencies so they can appear and reappear on your Earth level. And ever since that, I never doubted the reality of my people or my dad, because I know I cannot live without my people. They are the only reason I can live here now. This is hard to be up here to give a talk. This is the first time I've ever talked, and I'm scared to death inside. You used to tell me in the foster home the UFOs aren't real. Well, if they weren't real, how come me and Mr. Riley saw a UFO when we was picking up apples and sticks in the orchard? He denied it was a UFO. I said, that's a real structured object. You got photographs. Those are real. This here is a Pleiadian ship. The Pleiadians gave the Zetis our technology eons before your Earth was ever formed. We had a technological exchange. That is Pleiadian. That there, that looks like a man-o-war jellyfish, is a ship that has its ion propulsion units turned on. That will generate a mist or a cloud-like effect around the vehicle. Many ships pass themselves off as clouds to avoid being detected. But anyway, my doing the book, I didn't do the book to make money. I did the book because it was part of my mission to reach out and teach the people of Earth that there is other planets beyond their little blue and green ball that you call Earth. I did the book to help others and to teach. The night of my crash, I lay there against that rock in excruciating pain. When I survived the months of your time, I laid on a steel table, stripped of my uniform and my boots, in excruciating pain. They did not know what to give me for the pain. They could not feed me. I laid there on that bed, on that steel table, with just a wooden block as a pillow. Well, when an animal goes into a veterinary hospital, they're treated far better than what I and my people were treated. And I laid there. I was in bad pain. They did not give me no medicine. They did not know what to feed me. The only way they could talk to me was through a little black cube. One of the scientists would hold it up to me, and he would hold one. He would pick up my telepathy and hear it in his mind as English. And I would keep saying, want to go home. This area, not my home. I remember after I transitioned, well, I was at the facility. They had this great big round building. They picked us up from the crash site, and they took us into this big round building that had huge doors on it. They cataloged every piece according to size and shape. They put us in long boxes with cedar chips and this cold, icy stuff. Well, that cold, icy stuff revived me when they took me to a hospital facility where I survived one of your months. After that, I was flown to the eastern United States of your country, your land. And we were put into cryogenic storage in these great big long chambers. They're about 6 foot. And they had a glass top on them, but you cannot touch them because it's ice cold. I remember in this incarnation going to that facility when the social workers took me for an exam. They took me into what is called the factory. The factory is huge and has great big walls that are mounted on wheels. They took me on a cart. This was in this incarnation when I was little. Took me behind every one of those things that had wheels. And there were circular objects resting on cinder blocks. And this doctor that had a beard right here and wore glasses and he smoked a pipe, wore a white coat, kept talking to me about astronomy all the time. I mean, he was asking a little 8-year-old kid about stars and space, and I would answer what he was wanting. From a Zeti point of view, we know outer space different than you do. But anyway, he would take this probe, and he would shock me, give me an electric shock if I didn't answer the way he wanted. I remember that time that they took me down this hallway in the facility. There was these great big doors and there were guards on each side of them. They had these sticks that fired smoke out of them and things that caused pain. They carried them on their back. I didn't know what they were called. But they opened this door up and I walked in. There was this one light up here. Along the wall, there were 6 or 5 long white cylinders. The doctor held me up to look inside the cylinder and asked me if he remembers this. When I went to the cylinder in the center, I knew that was my body from my last incarnation when I crashed in your desert, in your mountains in New Mexico. And I had a vivid flashback to flying that ship when I saw what was inside that cylinder. That was real. Hollywood cannot make anything that real and never will. Hollywood cannot generate flashbacks. Weather balloons do not have flashbacks. Dummies do not have flashbacks. What happened that night really happened. I've lived with this ever since I was 4, and in Earth years I'll be 46 or 47. I don't measure time the way you do. But I've lived with this every day of my life. And it is horrible, especially around July. This whole side hurts me bad. I get flashbacks so bad that I can't hardly function. It's just so excruciating. And what really hurts me more than anything, I hate to say this, but I have to. Every 4th of July, you have celebrations and ceremonies. You have parties and picnics in observance of our people who gave their lives at Roswell. That should be a day of memorial. If your astronauts were to crash your ship on another planet, wouldn't you want them to have a memorial and be treated with dignity and respect that that crew earned? Like when your shuttle blew up, your people observed solemn services. You didn't have parties and picnics and fun events for them. But no, at Roswell and places where other ships have went down, they treat it like a carnival. That hurts me so deep to know that we were treated like that. We came from so far away just to study you and to learn from you. We came because we wanted to help you, Earth. We wanted you to end you playing with the atom. But now you make it into a celebration. Those people that lost their lives in New Mexico deserve a memorial. Every crew member was a living person that deserves to be memorialized and honored for what their work was. They don't need to be made into a carnival. We gave our lives. Every one of those crew gave their lives and had to live with it. But the council was not as hard on them as they was on me because I was a commander and I piloted that ship and the crew was under my command. So whenever you disobey a council order, you pay for it with karma in your next incarnation. I've often asked my dad and other people, why have I had to go through all this abuse? Why did I have to be in 12 foster homes, raped at gunpoint, being labeled schizophrenic and delusional and mentally retarded, humiliated and shunned and tortured? What did I do to cause so much pain in this life? I didn't ask for that pain. All I wanted was a normal childhood where I could play and be like regular kids. I didn't ask to have gifts of premonition and psychic abilities. I didn't ask to be a hybrid. I didn't ask to be associated with UFOs. But I am. And my dad would say, child, the reason you are going through all this, you caused a horrible accident in your last life. I said, what did I do, Father? He said, you caused a crash that killed 12 people in one ship, plus you and 4 others in another ship, plus you disobeyed your council's orders to even lead an expedition to Earth. This whole life I have suffered because of a mistake. On your Earth, don't your people forgive you if you cause an accident? My counsel is harsh. They don't overlook things that easy. When you fly in a ship and you cause an accident, you pay greatly for it. And I've asked my counsel over and over, please forgive me. Please forgive me and let me go home. For these are not my people. My home has a double sun, a binary. I'm from Jedoi, which is what your people call Zeta Reticuli. I didn't ask to land on your Earth. I only came to survey and take aerial reconnaissance of all your major cities and catalog your languages, catalog your plants and animals, your ocean creatures. As a scientist, that's what I was trained to do, was to collect specimens. And when you started detonating the atoms and bombs, we felt your Earth was in great danger, and that's what led me here.
Sanni, could you take some questions and answers from
Yeah,
people?
but they'll have to speak loud because I'm hard of hearing.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Sanni?
Sorry I went too long.
Just a minute, let her have it.
Sanni, thank you so much for being brave and standing up there and talking to us. It's meant
This is the hardest thing next to doing that book that I've ever done.
well, it's meant a lot to me. It's really affected my life today, and I want to thank you. And I have a question. Does your people understand that the majority of people on Earth are in love and do want to come together, but there's a dark element of the government and the Illuminati on this planet that is holding back and suppressing most of what's happening? The news does not allow the people to know even that there were aliens at Roswell
That is
that were
because
killed. We are kept in the dark, and the news says that never happened.
the reason that is said is because the reptoids do not want the Earth people to even know that there is other beings visiting your Earth, because the reptoids, when they first came here eons ago, they infiltrated the bloodlines of the human species via their DNA code. The reptoids want to control everything. They don't want the truth to come out about UFOs or ETs, even though they are ETs themselves. People on Earth, whether they know it or not, are slaves to the reptoids. You're puppets to the reptoid people. The Derax and the Terax are the two main iguanoid people that control your governments on your Earth. they control the news, the media, the print media, they control the papers, they control the banks. The Illuminati is part of the reptoids' hierarchy. That's their high government. They make the rules for everybody on this planet. And in a few short years, well, they've already started doing this, there will be camps set up, facilities set up, where you will be told that you need to get an inoculation for a brand new virus or disease that's come out. Well, when you go to get that shot, it will be in back here or here or here. It won't be an inoculation, it will be a microchip. When you get that microchip, you better say goodbye to all your liberties and your privacy and your personal freedom. For the government, they will know every damn thing about you. You must resist that.
So the question is, what do we do to stop that? It seems that
How do we stop it?
It seems that it's so over.
There is a clue, my friend. The reptoids cannot stand love. The reptoids cannot dwell in the light, for they are of the darkness. As global society, you must all raise your love vibration to counteract the hate of the reptoids. And if you raise that energy as a global conscious, well, it will generate a pure white, intense light. The reptoids cannot stand in that light and they will flee. And all your nations, you just can't be one or two people. It has to be your whole planet must do this in order to drive the reptoids off of this world, because they are going to cause your world to end soon, if not.
Thought it occurred to me, how can the DNA structure of all these different extraterrestrials be similar enough to the Homo sapien people here to be able to have hybrids?
Because we do genetic splicing and genetic cloning, and we delete certain chromosomes of the DNA and we add. Biogenetics field was established long before you had dinosaurs on your Earth. We perfected the technique of bioengineering. Therefore, we're allowed to go across species barrier to create different species of being, much like the reptoids when they created these beings that are part human, part cow, part human, part fish. I saw that once in a facility. These half-breed creatures that were half ape and half human, or half deer and half human. They do that by genetic splicing. In your society, your genetic technologies is in its infancy right now. If your people evolve to a higher level, you may be given technology that will advance this. When you get the genetic technologies that we have, you will have no more cancer, you will have no more deaths, you will have no more AIDS, you will have nothing like that, no more Alzheimer's, because you will have found a way to end all diseases by either adding to the DNA or deleting from the DNA.
Anybody else have a question?
I can't hear
You
too
have to
well.
speak up.
Would I be allowed to come up and hug you and ask you a question?
May she hug you and ask you a question?
Certainly. I love hugs. Hugs is the universal language of love.
Would you know my hybrid daughter, Winshaw?
What's that?
Would you know my hybrid daughter, Winshaw?
She's aboard a ship.
Why did
Dear
they
Ann,
take her away from me?
you will see her.
When?
Soon you will see her on the dream time. And in a short period of your time, since I don't measure your time, she will appear to you.
Why did they take her away from me?
Because she could not live on this polluted earth. She could not live with the hate.
I used to see her a lot. They used to let me be with her a lot.
You will be with her.
God bless you, my dear. Go far in your travels.
Gloria, you know you're on mic.
You will be with her soon.
We didn't hear it, but
I had a message.
Can I ask one more question?
go ahead.
How would you see that as a people we can raise our level of vibration of love the fastest way to counteract the reptilians?
Yes, you must do that globally.
How?
By
How
ending
individually
wars.
would we do that, for instance?
Everybody individually must do that, and these nations that are at war with each other, they should sit down and talk out their differences, work out plans instead of using violence to solve their problems. You didn't need that war over there in Iran or Iraq. You didn't need that. That was instigated by the reptoid forces. You didn't need all that innocent people being sent over there to be killed. You didn't need that. Your people could have solved that. You could have drove the reptoids out. Saddam is a reptoid, although the one that's over there now is a clone. He could have been terminated by the raising of the love energy. He could have been removed peacefully from his office. There was no need for a war over there. There's no need for any wars on any planets. Wars just cause de-evolution. They cause the planet to go down. They don't cause the planet to evolve higher. All nations, if they come together as one mind like our hive has, and generate the love vibration and help one another instead of fighting and arguing among yourselves, the energy level will be so great that the reptoids will not be able to tolerate it. Then they will leave en masse. You see, when the first nuclear test was done, and when the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, that opened a gigantic portal into your solar system from another universe. That allowed the reptoids to stream in here en masse, and one by one they bioengineered your DNA and put their bloodlines in your populations. That's why there's so much hate and negativity on your earth. It's because the reptoids.
Are there any more questions? Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for allowing me to do this.
You're wonderful.